single day of my life I sit down to think, close my eyes, flashes back to the times when I was scared, sitting on the stairs of a 20-floor block of council flats, walk around in darkness, stars above my head, turn around, see a you in an alleyway getting beaten to death, and I can't comprehend that this is London and the London state of mind. Nowadays, to kids it's all guns and knives. Listen, this is the nature of reality, trust me, I know what this life is like, it's so hype, people try lie, but deep inside, hold the truth tight. Despite the rights, I know the wrongs get brought up.
You know, hip-hop it could be a good thing as well as a bad thing. When I was younger, hip-hop was a bad thing for me, because it made me want to do stupid things, it made me want to walk around with a blade in my pocket, it made me want to be what I saw on TV, what I saw on MTV Base, what I saw on Channel U. Now, hip-hop's a good thing, you know, it kind of helps me to vent my frustrations. It's a form of release for me anyway. Well, I was brought up in Bethnal Green when I was, 11, 12, 13, yeah, 7, year 8 I think. We used to go to a school called Dainford, which is basically Bethnal Green Tech now. And there was another school called Oaklands, which was just like, 5-minute walk away, and we were at war. I don't know why. It was the same area, we all lived in the same areas. Some people lived on this side, we lived on that side. And we used to fight the other school. The primary schools fought each other, the secondary schools fought each other. I don't know if you know them Bangladeshi umbrellas with the big spike on the end. I saw someone get stabbed in the eyeball, one of them. The head teacher of the other school got attacked. It just got silly. It just got completely and totally stupid.
To be totally honest, like, I'm not gonna lie, I used to think like being big by carrying a knife or a gun is like, it makes you big and it makes you feel like you're a man and it makes you feel like no one can touch you. And I think American hip-hop plays a major role in it, because I know that like certain people, like my friends, that they listen to it and then they think differently. But music has set off their mind state, and I think their mind state in London is changing in the way that it's normal for these kids nowadays to go around with a knife, and it's normal for them to have a gun.
I did a lot of stupid things, you know. I was 15 years old. I was robbing people, I was robbing houses. A lot of people stole cars. I didn't even bother with that. I was doing credit card fraud. I did things that would just be silly to say, you know. And it was kind of, somebody else did it, so I had to do it better, you know. Somebody else did it and I had to try myself. Somebody was making money, so I had to make money. Like, it's not exactly get rich or die trying, but it is get rich quick, you know. And everybody tried. And I remember, like, there was a group of maybe 5 of us. We used to do like just stupid things, and we got into quite a bit of hold on.
You're gonna end up dead if you don't like fix up your life, and that's the simple fact of the matter. If like you keep acting like this, then you're gonna die, and that's how it is. And that's why every year we notice so many teenagers getting killed and stabbed. Like last year it was like 27 teenagers got killed.
We got into quite a bit of trouble with a local drug dealer. It was our age, same size as us, same everything, and something went wrong, and it ended up with a knife in my mate's back. Killed him. This was outside the GCSE exam. Just finished the GCSEs. It was on Friday. It was Jummah time. He walked out. He got knifed in the back, and they left. And the boy that knifed him was 13. You know. The stupidest thing is, I'd done something a lot sillier the day before, and I got nicked. So as my friend died, I was sitting in a police cell. You know, and he died in the arms of one of my friends who had nothing to do with any of this. And to this day, I still think he's scarred. You know, he lay there with my mate in his arms, dying, covered in blood. It's weird. You know what? I barely even go to see his grave because I feel that guilty that it happened. You know, it was something silly. It was just boys being boisterous. Ended up in a boy of 16, well 15 at the time, I think, getting stabbed in the back and losing his life over nothing.
This is a story about a team, young Millie machine. Got these stories about warfare, lives that you can only dream. Serving the fiends, like success by any means. As he travels through life motivated by greed. This is a story about a team, young Millie machine. Got these stories about warfare, lives that you can only dream. Serving the fiends, like success by any means. As he travels through life motivated by greed. Barely 13, trying to fight for the right to breathe.
I don't think age has anything to do with it. I understood the whole time what I was doing. I was 13, 14, I knew exactly what I was doing. I felt guilty, I felt bad about it, but that's life. It had to be done, you know. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. You've got to do whatever it takes to survive, yeah? Well, I thought of it that way. The thing is, I had a good family, I had a nice background that I come from. I didn't have to do all that. I could come home, there was still cooked food on the table, there was still clean clothes. I didn't iron nothing, do you get me? I used to come home, sleep, watch TV and go to school. I didn't have to do any of that, but it was kind of a popularity thing. But as I said, over the years I got older and wiser, and I think it happened for me a lot earlier than it does for other people.
Basically, like during the summer of like 2007, I kind of was, in my mind, I was kind of falling apart a bit, and like my life was all over the place. And I did at first look like to Christianity and look mainly into Christianity. And to me, yeah, this is personally, it's not to anyone. Like it didn't feel so much as truth to me. And it didn't have really effect. And then I looked into other religions because like of people around me. Like my next door neighbor, he was also like he converted 3 years ago. So I asked him questions about it and stuff, and like I found that amazing. So that's kind of how that came about anyway.
And this life struggle somehow done their work. So the animal inside me be an animal that chases skirt. Be still a red that chases beauty, I'm a fucking flirt. Thing I realise is this shit doesn't work. I live in happy, but them haters rise up from the dirt. The girl I'm love me cause I'm wise and I put in work. That boy does hate me cause he can't get up this girly skirt. He sees me on the daily with this girly and it hurts. So he tries to the same. And all he ever gets from the girlie is blood. It's like cut down, shot down, you're the rest.
My lyric, I was kind of a bit, it was more negative, and it was just stupid really. I was just talking about how I was good and stuff, and like the silliness in my lyrics, and it wasn't just any talk really.
I don't think it's a thing about losing identity. I think it's trying to find an identity. I think you couldn't blame either, but then you could blame both. I think the young people wanting a certain thing plays a big part, and then the media portraying it to be such a nice and glorified thing plays a big part as well. So you can't exactly point fingers. I just think it's trying to find an identity. Everybody wants a place in the world.
I definitely think like the halal and the haram part definitely played a major thing, because before I was Muslim, like I was doing haram stuff, and I think that affected my mind state, and it would make me think differently on how I feel, and now as I feel like I'm me, it's a lot easier to portray what I want to portray.
As a youngster, you know, you kind of make the choice whether you want to be on a roadside, on a council estate, in a youth club. When I was younger, a youth club was just somewhere to stay warm, you know. And we enjoyed it because the workers were good and the activities were good. And I think it's quite important for the youth worker to find, I don't know, a good setting, find out what the young people want, because a lot of youth clubs do a lot of things themselves. They think, yeah, well, they want this and they want that. I think they should ask the youth and see what they want, see what is going to keep them from doing stupid things.
I think there definitely needs to be a lot more stuff that the youth can do. Like I think music, if it's conscious and then if it's positive, then like I think music can help the youth get off the streets. But I don't think there's enough money in it, and I don't think people are supporting music enough. I don't think people are supporting the youth enough anyway, because I know for a fact before I knew certain people, it was very hard to get noticed within music or anything. So it's good to have people around you, and it's good to have money behind you, and it's good to have all these things, but I don't think they have it.
I think that the government needs to put more money back into music. Like I was studying music, and now they've taken music out of the college I was studying at. They don't teach it anymore. They've still got a studio worth about 15, 20 grand sitting there, but they don't use it anymore.
I definitely think the government doesn't really know the youth. I think the Prime Minister, he doesn't he doesn't know what the youth are like. He's not been to these places. He's not been into the ghetto, and he doesn't know what these people are like. So I think if the government interacts with the youth more and they find out how to tackle it, then that'll work a lot better. But at the moment, I don't think the government know how to do it, and I think they're just throwing money at it and hoping they will work. And I don't think that's the way to do it.
This is a story about a team, young Millie machine. Got these stories about warfare, lifestyle you can only dream. Serving the fiends, not success by any means. As he travels through life motivated by greed. This is a story about a team, young Millie machine. Got these stories about warfare, lifestyle you can only dream. Serving the fiends, not success by any means. As he travels through life motivated by greed. Barely 13, trying to fight for the right to breathe. They don't understand and they can't even cater to his needs.
I mean, they said Section 44, which is under the Terrorism Act, so we are getting stopped because of Islam and because I'm a Muslim, not for any other reason. So we are being stopped because of our religion. How does it feel? You know what it is? In the beginning it felt a bit bad, but you know, because you get it done so regularly now, yeah? So it gets part of your life, so we're used to it now.
Lots of problems with the anti-terror legislation. I think the one that goes across all parties and sort of social and economic classes is that it infringes civil liberties. If it's to stop people blowing themselves up or from killing other people, then yes, you can say it's been a success because nothing's happened since 7/7. Has it made certain racial or religious groups more willing to cooperate with law enforcement authorities? No, I don't think it has.
Have you ever been stopped and searched?
Yeah,
And what was the reason? What did they say to you?
because they saw me dressed in my hijab and headscarf. Well, it ain't nice because they just think we wear headscarf and we hide things underneath our headscarf, which isn't a good thing. With our parents knowing as well, and we're younger lots as well. So it ain't good for what they're doing to us as well, just for no reason.
Then what can we do? Just to go along with it sometimes. I guess people that we choose to be in Parliament and Mayor, innit? Personally, I thought that they were just being stupid about it. But then again, they're just doing their job, so there's not much you can do. We are being isolated and we are being picked out. Then again, I know some people who aren't the best people in the world and they get away with most stuff they do. So I guess it's the minority that make the majority look bad.
As far as the counter-terror measures are concerned, I think it's now accepted, there's a consensus that the way the laws have been applied have clearly had a disproportionate effect on one strand of our community. Now, some would argue that's hardly surprising when you bear in mind where the threat comes from over the last few years. It's hardly surprising that there aren't, elderly white women being stopped and searched at the airport, or elderly white men, being stopped and searched walking the streets. That being said, that can't be an excuse to apply laws in a discriminatory manner. And so, for example, Section 44 of the Terrorism Act, which allows the police to stop and search without reasonable cause if an area is called a designated area, that's been reviewed. Because I think the government and the police and the security services recognise that actually, if you look at all examples of counter-terror measures, the best way to fight counter-terror is the intelligence and cooperation of the communities.
It's made the government hugely unpopular. within its own party, but also with other parties as well, and with campaign groups like Liberty, who just think it's absolutely abhorrent that the government is trying to take away people's freedoms for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And without proof that keeping people in detention for so long works.
Certainly when we've spoken to focus groups, when we've spoken to members of the public, people have been very surprised that already the UK at 28 days has a longer pre-charge detention period in terrorism cases than any other comparable democracy. The comparisons are very stark. The US police's terror with only 2 days, Canada 1, Russia 5, Turkey 7.5 days, and the UK already is at 28 days, and the government is trying to extend it to 42.
What we're seeing now in 2008 is a move towards a new counter-terror bill, which would, for example, for the first time allow certain types of eavesdropping evidence to be included in court proceedings. Investigative journalism carried out by the Sunday Times, they uncovered this, and there was an inquiry into why that happened. There is a principle that constituents who see the Member of Parliament should be able to see the Member of Parliament without the conversation being listened to. That's not to protect the MP. It's your viewers will appreciate often have people coming to see me who are the victims of domestic violence, and I have people coming to see me who have problems with the police. And if a constituent doesn't have confidence they can have honest and candid conversations with the Member of Parliament, then that'll mean they won't come and see their MP. And at a time we're encouraging people to come forward, if they've got issues with counter-terror, if they've got issues with criminality of their neighbours, if they get issues with the victims of domestic violence, if that person thinks there's a chance that a conversation may be listened to, he or she won't come forward and speak to their MPs.
I think there is a tendency for people to sit at home and feel that they can't do anything, that somehow this is their fate and they must accept it, and then when something goes wrong they say, oh, this is terrible, why is this still happening to us? There are some groups who make a difference. There are some groups who are quite active and quite vocal, and I would like to see more campaigning activity. Who's been the most vocal about this issue? Has it been Muslims? No, it hasn't. It hasn't, We have the most to lose from this legislation, and what are we doing? Bugger all, as far as I can tell.
Well, you've got to be engaged. I mean, one of the things that the Muslim communities around the country cannot do is complain, criticise, whinge, and not be engaged. And you need to be engaged in these parties, both parties. I'm not saying everyone joins their party or everyone, I think you've got to be engaged in most mainstream parties to be able to influence policymakers. Rather than being a bystander, somebody with a megaphone complaining, far better. That's important as well. But it's also important to be engaged in the game and to engage and change things inside.
I think that if young people are concerned about certain anti-terror laws being unnecessary or unjust, then they need to get involved with campaigns, so they need to read about them. As I said, Liberty believes that some counter-terror laws are absolutely necessary, but if young people are concerned about laws that they think are unjust or unfairly affect them and their communities, they need to look to organisations that are doing things about that.
Actually, getting involved with groups like Liberty, because they do a huge amount of work, human rights groups, and also petitioning your MP. If you know who your MP is and there's a vote coming up, bother them. You're paying their salaries. They work for you. There's even a website called theyworkforyou.gov.uk. Find out who they are. Find out how they voted previously on terrorism legislation, and just bother the hell out of them.
keep this short and to the point because it's all been said before by far more eloquent people than me, and our words have no impact upon you. Therefore, I'm going to talk to you in a language that you understand. Our words are dead until we give them life with our blood.
Over the sirens of the police cars, we hear us shout, the streets are ours. The streets are ours. The streets are ours.
Individually, we can do amazing things by signing petitions, by protesting, by marching. Collectively, we can be even more powerful. There are ways of changing the world by peaceful means.
The British system is not democratic enough. The representation is not good enough of the people in the House of Parliament. This is the only way in which you can effectively protest in Britain, right?
It helps create awareness because many people are going to be walking past these protests. So, they're realising what are these people protesting about. So that's why we use rallies and stuff to try and create awareness and also let our frustration out, because sometimes it can get vented up when we're hearing about these issues and not really taking any action.
When you're being oppressed, you rise up. When you're oppressed and you protest, you just have the law enforcement come down on you, such as what happens in Egypt. And individuals, not only Muslims, everyone sees this. So as a Muslim, when he sees that he writes letter after letter, protest after protest he attends, and constantly tries to contact his local MP, and he sees nothing is being done, and only sees things getting worse, then they are driven to take other measures which will have an effect.
The Russians, they got defeated after the 18 years of occupying Afghanistan. Victory didn't come by protesting.
Yeah, it looks fine. Really good.
If we actually thought, if I thought it would actually make a difference, then I think I consciously would.
I think we all think that nothing makes a difference, but if we all collectively done something about it,
the question is what?
But we all think to ourselves that, no one's doing
happen. There are a large crowd of people that get together, but still,
I don't know what the Muslim population of Britain is. Is it 1.2 million or something? If everyone got together, I'm just saying top of my head, if all of us...
Million Man March?
I think the 7/7 attacks, for the reason behind the motive behind it, we don't have to look further than, the will and testament that was left behind by those who committed this, this act. And this is nothing but a response to the illegal occupation of the Muslim lands.
That's with the acts of terror. I don't think it actually improves our situation. I think basically when we have acts of terror, it gives more impetus to the government to act against us.
That's just like saying the 7/7 bombing. Okay, we disagree with the government policy, let's go in and kill innocent people, blow up. And what's going to happen is it's a negative effect. Do you know what the white people are going to do? All the Asians, all the Muslims are the same, but it's not right. You've got a bad few bunch who think from their backsides, which has a negative impact on the whole Muslim community in the UK.
We have to play to our strengths. And in the West, we still do have a voice. Tony Blair tried to even stop us from speaking outside of Parliament, but we do have a voice. We can make a change. But we can, we have to be engaged to make that change and get involved in politics.
Ideally, obviously, it'd be a civilised and proper way to do it if everyone voiced their opinions in writing to the MPs. But in practical terms, that's not really going to happen. I can't imagine everyone's going to do that.
Change it from within, become active.
To be honest, we have to wake up, whatever the public says, it's not going to make a difference. It's all about who's in power. And it's not us, it depends on America, because we just follow Americans, do you know what I mean?
So I can understand young people's frustrations, but you know what? Sitting back and doing nothing is not an option either. In fact, I am very surprised when I hear young Muslim men and women say, what's the point? Because the Quran is a book of action.
Occupy Muslim land, rape, torture, steal wealth of the Muslim nations, and he kill them, carpet bombing, women, children, the disabled, mentally ill, everyone. He expect the same. That's going to happen to you, you know. So you have to change your foreign policy. You have to be fair, so in order other people to be fair with you. If you don't want to be killed, don't go and kill people.
On that note, mate, where does it say in Quran, go and kill people? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't say anywhere.
I don't know anybody, none of us certainly believe that that's the right way to... It's wrong. It is wrong. I mean, it's completely wrong.
We learn that we as Muslims were brothers and sisters of one another. So when you've learned that this is your brother and your sister abroad, and then you see catastrophic things done to them, then you feel sad and you feel upset. And this is what I think is probably driving them to go there. They feel it's their obligation to lift this oppression that is placed upon them.
We need to be realistic. Everyone just cares about our own families. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got kids. Your priority is your immediate family, not what's happening 4,000 miles away. Yeah, it bothers us, but in reality, will we do anything? No, we won't.
So you'll find Muslims who will say our loyalty is towards the UK government, when Islam itself preaches that your loyalty should be only towards your Lord and His Messenger.
My opinion is not because I'm a Muslim, I'm British, I'm Scottish first, yeah? I think from a Scottish level, not because I'm Muslim, religion is separate. Okay, so these people who say Islam or Muslim, this and that, it doesn't make a difference, you know? War's war. A human life is a human life. It doesn't matter where you come from.
Go on to any university campus. It's not a generation of young Muslims that have been radicalised by war in Iraq and Afghanistan. It is a generation of young people who have been radicalised. These wars have nothing to do with religion. And, you know, there are extremists on both sides who are saying this is a war to do with Islam. And it's about land and occupation.
Why say British Muslims, yeah? There's quite a lot of white people who are against the war. So why can we join forces and not say British Muslim? It's not about Muslims, Jews, Christians or whatever. It's about having a personal opinion and disagreeing with the government. It doesn't matter on your religion or colour. End of story. I think we are doing this the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? It should be if you're against the war or for the war. Full stop. We shouldn't say as British Muslim, because then you're saying, okay, that's a separate group within a community.
A lot of the fallout from the anti-war movement was that young Muslims did realise that they could engage, they could mix with non-Muslims. Non-Muslims got a greater understanding of what Muslims were about. A lot of young Western feminists began to realise more about the hijab. And out of that anti-war movement, out of that one single march, came a unity and comradeship that is the envy of all politicians because, you know, talk about integration. There was integration.
I think it will do something, even if the message is not taken into consideration now, but later it will be taken into consideration, and the world will bear witness that people spoke against this injustice, especially the continuous occupation of the foreign forces in Iraq and in Palestine. So, I mean, if nothing is done now, but history will exonerate those people who spoke against this particular injustice.